Let's start the video.
Go.
Okay, go.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Anthony Mele, Chairman of the 65th Infantry Honor Task Force. It is my privilege and my honor and my distinct pleasure to be host of the committee for the Medal of Honor reception for Master Sergeant Juan E. Negron of the 65th Infantry Regiment of Puerto Rico. Applause signs. I'll make introductions in a moment, but if you like, let me just bear with me a moment while I give you a little background history for press and others who are joining us here today. The 65th Infantry Regiment of Puerto Rico was a regimental combat team that was assembled in the island of Puerto Rico. They answered their nation's call to duty in World War I, where my great-grandfather was, Leoncio Beauchamp, was one of the founding members. They served honorably during World War I, World War II, and the Korean War. During the Korean War, the 65th Infantry Regiment distinguished themselves by conducting what became the last battalion-sized bayonet charge in American military history. What that means is that a battalion of roughly 1,000 men were engaged by a division of roughly 10,000 men. The odds were staggering. The battle ensued for 3 days. It went down to hand-to-hand combat. The order to fix bayonets was given, and in mass, and in total, they charged the enemy center and engaged them. The battle was furious, the battle was ferocious, and at the end of the day, 70% casualties were left. But they held their ground. The enemy fled. I'm talking about the 65th Infantry Regiment of Puerto Rico. Their distinction is they conducted the last known in American military history soldiers who were Americans. Now here today, among that regiment was Master Sergeant Juan E. Negron. Juan E. Negron, for actions that he conducted during combat operations, he earned the Distinguished Service Cross. 67 years later, the Department of Defense decided that that Distinguished Service Cross should be upgraded to the Congressional Medal of Honor. Juan E. Negron is the first of the Borinqueneers to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor. The delegation who was so kind to take their time out of such a busy schedule, a whirlwind schedule that they had in Washington, D.C., and they were so kind enough to come here to New York to visit us, to meet with other Borinqueneers, surviving Borinqueneers of the unit, and you good folk. So if I may, I'd like to introduce this delegation with your permission. Here's Brigadier General Burgos. He's a commanding general at Fort Buchanan. Our guest of honor here, I'll skip 1 second, our guest of honor here also is Iris Negron. She is the daughter of Juan E. Negron, and she was here to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor in his behalf and on behalf of her family. She shared with us so many personal stories, and later on when we commiserate, I'm sure she'll be happy to share some of those stories with you. Among our guests here today and dignitaries, I'd like to introduce two New York State Senators, Senator Bill Larkin, who was also a colonel, served in the Korean War, knew of the Borinqueneers during that time, and is a great, strong supporter of ours, Bill Larkin. Next to him is our other senator, David Carlucci, and David Carlucci is a very good friend and supporter, and as you see by his presence here today. Also among our sponsorship is Enrique Pabon. I'm sorry, Enrique. We'll step forward and take pictures in a moment. Enrique Pabon is president of the Rockland County Officers, Police Hispanic Society, I'm sorry, and a great supporter, and many of them are here. We also have others we'll introduce later from around, and I see many familiar faces, and I see a lot of new faces here. Also, Mr. Morales from the Purple Heart Association as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot convey to you how important this is, so let me just tell you a little bit about the Congressional Medal and the protocols involved. What this is about. The Congressional Medal of Honor is issued awarded by the Congress of the United States on behalf of the people of the United States. Of all the people of the United States. Of all 50 states of all districts and counties, of all political parties and persuasions. It is a token of the gratitude of the people to the recipient. I'm sorry, I tore the word down. But it's a token of our gratitude to the recipient, because more than 90% of those who receive the Congressional Medal of Honor earn it by trading their lives for it. So Master Sergeant Negron was one of those who survived the battle. Master Sergeant Negron, in a night attack, was ambushed. The citation is there, but basically his unit was ambushed by overwhelming forces. He put his men out of harm's way. He threw himself into the battle. He threw himself into the fray through maneuvers of defilade to draw fire to himself, to protect his men. He refused to move. He had the warrior's ethos. He refused to quit. He would not surrender, and he would not give up any ground. And he charged into the enemy base of operations where the fire was coming from, and the battle ensued, and his combat ensued with them all during the night. The next morning, when daybreak broke and they found him unconscious, surrounded by 15 enemy dead that he engaged hand to hand. Yeah. The Bible says there's no greater love than he who would give down his life for his friends. Master Sergeant Negron, I believe, lived that ethos. And that's what brings us here today. So it's not so much that the 65th Infantry Regiment ethnicity was Puerto Rican. It's not so much that Master Sergeant Negron was a native son of Puerto Rico, of which we are all proud. But he's an American that makes all Americans proud. And I'm glad to see by all of this representation here that Rockland County is welcoming this delegation. I'm going to let them say a few words in a moment. We're going to give out some plaques. But folks, what we're going to do here is, this is how we're going to render salutes, just so you understand the protocol. Everyone who's in uniform or under cap, you approach the medal in a military, with military decorum and bearing. You snap to attention and you give it a salute. You come to present arms, and then you go down the line and you can shake hands with the dignitaries and have your photograph taken. Now there's a price. There is a price for getting your photograph taken. It's not a monetary price. Okay? So that's fine. The price is bragging rights. Everyone who showed up here today to show their gratitude, you earned the bragging rights to get your picture taken. And when you show that picture to someone else, you get to tell them how it was earned. You get to tell them what it signifies. And you get to tell them that you took a moment out of your day to come and show your gratitude to the family members that was lost during this operation. So, thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for making time out of your busy schedule and coming and sharing a couple minutes with Mr. Negron and myself and the rest of the group. I can tell you it's been a very emotional week, and I guess we witnessed something that I believe we're not going to be able to see for a lot of years. Having 24 families, including 3 surviving Medal of Honor recipients, in a ceremony full of emotions, it's just once in a lifetime. And I'm glad, feel really humble for having this opportunity to escort Ms. Negroni in all the activities. And I have my bragging rights, I can tell you that. But the experience is incredible. And you can feel, at least in the ceremony when we were at the White House and at the Pentagon, that every one of those souls were there receiving their awards. I can tell you that because I felt that. I don't know if you felt it. But, and I hope that this medal that was given to the first Borinqueneer is just a door that is opening for others to be recognized. There's a lot of people that are giving everything they have for freedom. And I know this opportunity is just going to be an open door that is going to give a lot of good soldiers the recognition they deserve in the battlefield. Thank you.
have here?
We have firefighters, but we're honored tonight to represent, and we'll play quickly with the pipes and drums. We have members from Rockland County, from Rhode Island, from New Hampshire, from up in Albany. So we'll play for you quickly before we head out, all right?
Thank you.
Case on, 4-4. Let's set a quick march.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The camera doing it. Let's see. Let me ask them how much.
Take off all my audio. Some of my curse words. I know better. I've worked in TV before.
Okay.
The mic is on.
Definitely on.
The mic is on.
Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have some presentations from our dignitaries. Our own Chris Day is in here somewhere. Chris, where are you? Chris, you got something, right?
No, that's Senator Larkin.
Okay, we'll come on up anyway.
You want me to come up?
Come on, yes.
Are you going to have enough
Senator Larkin?
space in the 2 cards I have in the room to do a video? Yeah?
Senator.
I know.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Attention, please. Thank you.
You know, it's tough sometimes. Because you think what happened when
Quiet,
you were there.
please.
First time I heard about the 3rd and 65th, I was in the 25th. And just before I was medically evacuated, someone says someone's going to get their A kicked when they come in contact with the 65th. Because they didn't come here for a honeymoon. And when they get finished, the other team will know. As Tony said, if you read the details of it, this was a firefight. Mr. Sergeant Cerrone was out on the right flank. He could have walked back with the rest, but he said, if I go, all these others will be killed. And he put himself on the line. And As Tony said, the next morning, when they went out there, they were expecting to see a dead person. When they found him unconscious, the story goes, he said, "What took you so long?" The point about it is it came about, my good friend, colleague, Senator Carlucci and I said to the leaders, we need a resolution to honor what he did. And the biggest thing here is we want to make sure that people understand. You know, people say, these guys didn't do it, they didn't do it. 3rd to the 65th was honored. They were an outfit that was pride because they came as a lonesome team out of Puerto Rico. And what happened? They became part of the 3rd Infantry Division. Correct me, General, if I'm wrong. And what did they do? They had the task of not only retaining what was there, but stopping what was coming. When the opposing force that was jumping on that hill that night, and the only reason I remembered it because I had just come out of a hospital on the 15th of April. And when you saw all what was going to happen, someone said, "Do you realize that there's a whole division against that battalion?" And the answer came from young troopers from Puerto Rico. Not generals, not colonels, no disrespect, sir, but I know you know the facts. They said, "Where do we go?" What did they do? They did something that made us proud. And what happened this week? The government finally did something right. It recognized 24 people, one of which was our own. I'm not a Buccaneer. I'm part of Tony's task force because we're going to get us a stamp to honor the 65th for what they did for our country. This is a resolution that, you know, somebody will say to you, it's just a piece of paper. It is. That's a piece of paper, a piece of wood, and a little glass. But what it says, my colleague and I thought enough to make sure that everybody in the state legislature signed on to this. Because we're proud of you. We'll never forget what he did. But more importantly, you know that America said to you, your dad was not just a Buccaneer. Your dad was the pride of the military. And I thank you.
He was my hero.
And if I could just echo what, it's always hard to follow Colonel Senator Larkin, and I had the opportunity to be presiding officer that day when Senator Larkin spoke so eloquently about Master Sergeant Juan E. Negron. And his legacy, his life, is really one that we're playing a small part in trying to make sure that our colleagues in the Senate and trying to spread that message of his life to the rest of New York State. It's unfortunate that his story is not one that every New Yorker or every American knows, but we would like to continue this tradition to try to spread that message, to talk about a true hero in what he did to fight for his community and his nation. So thank you so much for allowing us to present you with this to keep his legacy alive. Thank you.
Another plaque? I think there's another plaque. Chris, do us a favor. Present that on behalf of everyone.
Okay. First day, this is on behalf of the town of Haverstraw to present to Master Sergeant Juan E. Negron for your bravery and courageous actions while serving a member of the 65th Infantry Regiment, for your sacrifices you made while serving your country in the United States Army. I think a plaque doesn't quite do justice to what your father did, but from the town of Haverstraw,